I will officially call this meeting to order. I'm Tom Ruller. I'm the current president of the Council of State Archivists, and I'm the New York State Archivist. And it is a great pleasure to welcome all of you. Some of you who I'm really especially happy to see, because we haven't seen you in a few weeks, and it's great. We've got a pretty big meeting, a lot to do in the next hour or two, so I'm not going to spend too much time. One quick housekeeping rule, and I think most of us know this, having lived through the COVIDian age. I'm going to work that into almost every other sentence this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you are here in the United States or elsewhere. But please mute your line if you're not speaking. It will help make this meeting go a little bit smoother. As Barbara has said, keep your video on if you want to, if you can. And if not, we'll be happy just to see your name or the really nice little picture you've taken of yourself. So in an effort to get things moving, I'm going to call on the CoSA Secretary Treasurer, Jamie A. Walt, to do the roll call of the states and territories and recognize our guests.
Great, thanks, Tom. Hi, everybody from Nashville. As I call your name of the state or territory from which you're joining us, if you'll please respond present with your name and the name of any additional representatives that are there with you. And I also ask that you add those names and states or territories to the chat so we have a good official record of it. So I will call the roll. I have practiced on saying the state Nevada because it's not native to me to pronounce it in that way, but let's give it a go. So we'll start with Alabama.
Present. This is Steve Murray, and Dorothy Jadair may be joining us as well.
Great. Alaska. American Samoa. Arizona. Tell me if I'm going too fast or slow. I know people are trying to unmute. Arkansas.
David Ware from Arkansas here.
California.
Present. This is Andrew Heislip, and I'm sitting in for State Archivist Tamara Martin today.
Great. Colorado.
Present. Ali Jabraki.
Connecticut.
Present. Lizette Pelletier. I also have Ellen Ramsey, Damon Munns. I should have Barbara Austin from staff, and then I also have Kathy Crogwell-Varda, who is our consultant on our traveling archivist grant.
Full room, thanks. Delaware. District of Columbia. Florida.
I'm here, Beth Golden.
Georgia.
District of Columbia is present, Bill Branch.
Great. Georgia. Guam. Hawaii.
Aloha from paradise. This is Adam.
Aloha. Idaho. Illinois.
Illinois is present. We have Dave Jones, Kathy Popovich, and joining us today is Tim Motez.
Indiana. Iowa. Kansas. Someone lighting up. Kentucky.
Present, Terry Manuel.
Louisiana.
Present, Catherine Newsom.
Maine.
Present, Kate McBrien.
Maryland.
Present, Elaine Rice-Bachman, and we'll be joined by Catherine Beringer.
Massachusetts.
Present, Michael Como and Alejandra Dean.
Michigan.
Present, Andrea Geetson.
Minnesota.
Present, Sean Rounds.
Mississippi. Missouri.
Present, John Dugan.
Hi, John. Montana.
Present, Rich Arstead.
Nebraska,
Present, Anna Holly.
Nevada. Dang, they're not even here. New Hampshire, New Jersey,
Present, Joe Klett.
New Mexico, New York,
Present, Tom Ruller.
North Carolina, North Dakota, Northern Mariana Islands, Ohio,
Present, Fred Previtz.
Oklahoma,
Present, Jan Davis.
Oregon,
Hi, everyone. This is Stephanie Clark from Oregon.
Pennsylvania, Puerto Rico,
Hola, Hilda Teresa Ayala.
Rhode Island, South Carolina,
Present, Eric Emerson.
South Dakota,
Present, Shelley Thompson.
Texas,
Present, Jelaine Chubb.
Utah,
Present, Ken Williams.
Vermont, Virgin Islands, Virginia, Washington,
Present, Steve Excel.
West Virginia, Wisconsin,
Present, Abby Norderhow.
and Wyoming.
Present, this is Kathy Marquis, and I'm excited to announce that I have a successor, and her name is Sarah Davis. She can't be with us today, but you'll be seeing her at the next time CoSA meets.
Fabulous. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody. And thank you to our guests that are attending today. If you were not recognized with your state, please go ahead and enter your name in the chat as well so we can record your attendance. And I'd like to take a minute to acknowledge our sponsors. I believe we have Brian Peterson and Quentin Atkinson from Ancestry, John DeYoung and Manuel Senueza from Family Search, and Mike Quinn from Preservica. I apologize if I've missed anyone. I'll now refer you all to the minutes from the 2020 business meeting and ask for your approval.
This is Eric Emerson, South Carolina. Move approval.
Tom Ruller from New York. I'll second Eric's motion.
Fabulous. All right, thank you. Tom, I think it's back to you.
Okay, well, we'll just call for a quick vote. I'll just say, does anyone object to the approval of the minutes? I'll assume the silence means everyone assents, so we'll call it unanimous. Thank you all very much for approving the minutes of last year's meeting, which was our first, I believe, virtual annual meeting. And so now this will be our second. So this is old hat now. Before we move into the next section of the meeting, which I'll talk a little bit about the state of the association, Mike Quinn of Preservica has joined us, and Mike is going to share some updates from Preservica. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mike. I think Mike has a couple of slides, so he might need to have control. So I'll just put that out there for the people who are managing the technology.
Hi, Tom. Thank you very much for that introduction. I do have a few slides. So is it Michelle? Can I share my screen? Let me see if I can do that. I can. So let me share my screen.
Oh, good. It's working. Wonderful.
Do we have something? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Tom. And a good afternoon, everyone. I want to be respectful of your time at your business meeting, but thank you very much to Tom for the opportunity to talk. We've been privileged to have had a long-term relationship with CoSA, and I wanted to update you all on, I know that digital preservation is near and dear to many of you, all of you, and I wanted to talk to you about a number of initiatives that are underway at the moment where I think your participation in entirety as the CoSA organization and as the individual states would be welcome. So I wanted to talk for a couple of minutes on some of those initiatives. There are three things. One is called Preservica Starter. There's an update on social media, email, and website preservation, and a really exciting announcement that I'd like to share with you on embedded preservation within Office 365, which I think is pretty exciting. So let me talk very quickly about an initiative which we launched last Christmas, which is to make digital preservation simple, powerful, and affordable for all institutions. We launched a solution called Preservica Starter, very much with the intention to enable small institutions to adapt and adopt digital preservation very, very simply. And this has now been taken up by over 1,500 organizations across 47 states, would you believe? And this particular solution, Starter, is enabling small local archives, historical associations to get on board with digital preservation. And we made it easy to be by being free, actually. So the system itself lends itself to enabling people to think about preservation for the first time. And that includes free storage. It's on the cloud. You don't need to download any software. An important aspect of this is that we've also been able to launch very recently, or will be launching, we've announced this, a community hub that goes along with Starter. And this is an opportunity to advance best practice in digital preservation across all these different communities. There are a number of state archives. I know that many of you are involved in Starter, and with a couple of states, including Vermont, for example, we are helping to promote best practice in digital preservation to local communities. So this is something to watch, and I think has tremendous potential to make archival practice and digital preservation reachable by everyone. Another initiative that I want to talk to very briefly is, I think, the first of its kind in bringing together social media, email, and web preservation into a single capability. And I know one of the things that's becoming very important as we're entering a world of more complex digital content is the ability to do full context search and retrieval of records across different digital media types. So we made an announcement at the SAA conference week before last, I think, that we are launching Twitter preservation. Unlike Twitter archiving, which just keeps the tweets, Twitter preservation will manage the complex multi-part digital assets. So when you have a video embedded within a tweet or an image or an audio file, for example, this will preserve this way into the future. And what this provides is consistent preservation across multiple multimedia channels, so social media, email, websites, and so on and so forth. And we're working towards a day when there will be automated set and forget preservation for this. And in the context of the state archives, this means now that we could do full context search for this. There's actually, I'll share this presentation deck with you afterwards, and there's actually a 5-minute video with a scenario in here preserving the Mayor of Boston's COVID-19 announcement. So I won't run through that now, but just to give you the context of what this means in full context search and retrieval. It will be possible for you to do something like this, show me all the COVID protocols and statements made by the Mayor in 2020, and the system will return to you the tweet, the website, the email, and the minutes. So this sort of development, I think, is pretty interesting and relatively important. The final thing to talk about is an initiative called P365. And I attended this meeting about the CoSA meeting you had in Washington, DC, I think at the SAA conference the last time it was there. Well, I think it was about 5 years ago, perhaps. I remember someone at the time asking the question, what do we do about born archival records? How do we get the agencies, when they're creating documents that are born archival, to automatically think about preserving these in years to come? And this is what this is aimed at. So we have announced that we have integrated and built into Microsoft 365 a component to allow preservation in situ within Microsoft 365. What this means is that you will be able to retrieve and preserve Word documents, team meetings, Outlook documents, and so on within the original system, within the Office 365 environment. So this is not an integration to 365. This is a way of preserving in situ. This means that agencies that are creating records And the majority of organizations will be using 365 in the future in some fashion, will be able to create preservation-ready documents that can be preserved at the point. And the way this will ensure secure chain of custody, prevent file format obsolescence, but also manage millions and millions of files that originate from within these systems and need to be transferred over time. And the important aspect of this is it's integrated to the compliance center and the retention systems that are developed within 365. And this is I'm not going to go through this. This is a schematic which describes how this all works. The important element of this is the user never needs to leave 365 in order to view, preserve, access, preserve content. And the following are just some brief examples of this. Within Office 365, you'll be able to set up your preservation, retention schedules and routines. You'll be able to set the policies, and these policies may be set by the states, or indeed they might be the policies that you agree with your state agencies on how to transfer records, and there may be the policies by which NARA eventually receives some of these documents, for example. And the most exciting aspects of this, I think, is it will mean that all the records that you are preserving at the state archives, digitally preserving, can be accessed by the agencies within their native Microsoft O365 environments. In other words, if an agency says, we want to have a look at this record from 30 years ago, it was never saved in Microsoft, it was saved in an open text format. If you're preserving it, it will be viewable and findable within this environment. So pretty exciting, and this has an opportunity to revolutionize the way that documents and records are transmitted from agencies to the state archives. So there's three things where we would really value the collaboration with CoSA and your participation alongside. One is, please continue to, if you're not doing so already, please join the Started User community. And we are working with a number of state archives to advance digital preservation best practice. So that is out there now, and we're working with Beaumont, for example, who are promoting this to their local historical societies as a way of advocating for best practice digital preservation. We have a Twitter preservation beta pilot happening right now. If any of you would like to become involved, please contact us. We'll love to involve you. There's also a special interest group to help prioritize the features and channels of the next generation of this. So we welcome your participation in that. And then finally, on P365, that is ready now. We are conducting Preservica 365 beta pilots, and there's a real opportunity here for the state and we're working with some central government institutions around the world. We're working with some large corporations, and it would be great to get the state archives to help us within the special interest group to define the policies and governance and retention rules for transfer between this environment. So with that, I'll close. Thank you very much. There's myself and my colleague, Laurie Ashley here. You can contact us via this. And Tom, I think at the last meeting, you said we'll look back in 10 years' time and be astounded by the changes we're going to make here. With some of these technological advancements, I think we can look back in 3 years and be astounded at some of the advancements we're making. So thank you very much for that, Tom.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Laurie. We really appreciate what you have. Wow, you just gave us a huge amount to think about. So thank you very much for that. Thanks for coming today. And thank you to Preservica for all of the support that you have given to CoSA. It is a great partnership. Your support for the State Electronic Records Initiative has been tremendous and has given us the capability of moving forward much more quickly than we would have otherwise. And I think you're right. It's not 10 years, it's 3 years. I wouldn't mind it if it was 2 years, but that's okay. So again, thank you very much.
Tom, just to put into context, the investments that we're making in the next 12 months in digital preservation amounts to $12.2 million of innovation. So the things that I just described to you, and there are 84 engineers working on those technological advancements. We need your help to help us ensure we're building the right things for the state archives and your stakeholders.
And I think I can speak for my colleagues. You'll get our help, because the two hands are going to go together. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. This is the point in the annual business meeting where the president gets to talk about the state of the association. So I've got about 95, maybe 100 minutes worth of stuff. So get a comfortable chair. Don't worry, it's not going to be that long. It's only 80 minutes. Listen, I'm just going to talk and move this thing along. I do want to say thank you to all of you for participating today and coming today. I think the strength of CoSA is the membership. We are a finite group of people. There are 56 state archivists, territorial archivists, the District of Columbia. But it is really important that all of us are here, all of us work with one another, and CoSA is a strong organization because of you. So thank you. As we do the calls to the states, those words come out over and over and over again. CoSA's strength is the people that make it work. And so thank you to all of you. A special thank you to the people who serve on the CoSA board, the volunteers who work on our behalf, the many committee members and their chairs who put together these great programs, come up with these great ideas and do a huge amount of work on top of their regular day job. So, and because to help us all move forward that much better. There's so many people who participate and contribute to what CoSA's goals and objectives are. And we are really grateful to all of them. And we're especially grateful also to our staff, to Barbara, to Michelle, to Anne, to Becky, especially to Barbara, who is there at every single meeting, who is there. I probably talk to Barbara as much as I talk to my wife. So it's, and I'm sorry about that, Barbara. I apologize, but don't worry, this will be the last time you'll have to hear from me. But it is great that we are fortunate to have such a dedicated, committed, and hardworking group of people that support the work of this association. So I think if you're going to talk about the state of the association, CoSA is strong. CoSA is strong today. It's strong because of you. It's strong because of all of the folks that support us. Folks like our corporate sponsors, Ancestry, our platinum sponsor, APPX Software, AVP, Atlas Systems, Family Search, the Northeast Document Conservation Center, and Preservica, which is a sponsor of the State Electronic Records Initiative. We also want to acknowledge the in-kind sponsorship of Gaylord Archival and newsletter sponsorship of From the Page. We are so lucky and so grateful to have so many of you with us here today and with us here throughout the year and the years. Many of you have sponsored CoSA and supported our programs for a very long time, and we are extremely grateful to you. Thank you to our federal funders, the Institute for Museum and Library Services. I'm not going to say that again. I'm just going to say IMLS, the National Endowment for the Humanities. CoSA completed an IMLS National Leadership Grant last year and started another one just this month. You all heard about that. It's a very large and important leadership grant that we just learned. It started August 1st. The support of IMLS has been crucial in furthering CoSA's work and improving our state electronic records efforts over 10 years and in facilitating many of CoSA's research initiatives. That support will continue through this recent fourth grant to support the State Electronic Records Initiative and working with CoSA members on digital preservation and digitization planning, and to assist CoSA members in incorporating diversity and cultural competency into their programs and services. That's an important dimension of our program, and I'm hoping that over the course of the next 2 or 3 years, and ultimately by the end of 10 years, we really can recognize ourselves as having true cultural competence and definitely marking and demonstrating the diversity of our states and the diversity of our country. CoSA received its first ever grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities in 2020. The NEH CARES grant was very welcome and contributed to CoSA's financial stability during the pandemic. Despite the loss of dues and annual meeting revenues, we came through in a very good financial position, largely due to that NEH CARES grant. We're so grateful to IMLS and NEH for helping CoSA and its members with these generous grant awards. CoSA is also very fortunate and very pleased to be included in the first round of the University of Illinois' email archiving Building Capacity and Community Regrant Project. This is a series of projects of institutions and organizations around the country, and we're one of the participants in this grant. The grant is funded by the Andrew Mellon Foundation. Our project, or our piece of this broader national effort, is called CoSA Prepare, Preparing Archives for Records in Email, which will provide CoSA members with best practices and strategies for improving email archives. I want to highlight a few other items related to CoSA's 4 core functional goals and related strategies and outcomes, all of which form the framework of our strategic plan. As you know, and hopefully have heard about, CoSA is currently in the middle of a new strategic planning process. So we'll have a new plan to guide us for the next 5 years. Ann Ackerson is working with us to develop that plan. The board expects, though, that those 4 core goals, or those core goals, will remain the same. But let's talk a little bit about what we've done and where we've come in the past 5 years with those core functional goals and the strategies and the outcomes that we seek. The first is in the area of research. We always complete the calls to the state every year. We do that research to find out what our members need, what states need in order, states and territories, the District of Columbia, what we need in order to do our work effectively, and then tailor programs and services to meet those needs. Those calls to the states, and I think every one of us has been participating in one, either as the caller or the callee. And it's been, I think it's one of the most important and valuable things that we do every year. It helps us all talk frankly with one another to build a stronger organization, but a much stronger organization, but also stronger state archives. This year, we just completed the next version of the Biennial Archives and Records Management Survey, resulting in the State of the State Records Report, which hopefully all of you have seen and seen the link to. It's about that thick. As I said to Barbara, it uses a lot of big words. It doesn't have a lot of pictures. I can hardly understand it, but in all seriousness, it is a wealth of great information about our programs, where we fit, so we can both benchmark where we are compared to where we need to go, but also understand the totality of what state archives are doing and how they're doing it. It's valuable and critical research, which shows the important role of state archives in preserving our nation's story. We've done a follow-up to the 2020 Interagency Transfer Report Toward a Common Understanding, which was co-sponsored with Preservica. With the sponsorship from Preservica. Move It, a modeling viable electronic information transfers project, which was also sponsored by Preservica and AVP. We published a new title in Digital Best Practices, Developing Successful Electronic Records Grant Projects. Of course, our CoSA Prepare Needs Assessment Analysis is coming later this year. And of course, we have our emergency preparedness resources, which we've done in conjunction with our support from Polygon. There are a lot of best practices guidances that we've published and made available through the research, the information, the resources that you all have provided. So those best practices and those resources are based on actual practical application of tools, techniques, and experience that we all have. It's nice to read about things, but it's really nice to read about things and know that someone has actually successfully done them so you can apply them in your institution. Another core goal or core function is education. All of us are touched by the member webinars and the Siri webinar series, which are very popular. I know they're very popular here in New York. They're probably very popular with all of your colleagues. We are very fortunate to have such an active and engaged education program, both on the Siri side and CoSA in general, and our partnership with NARA for those quarterly webinars that have produced a whole lot of great information and helped strengthen the partnership and the relationship between NARA at the federal level and us at the state level. During the pandemic, we had at first very frequent, I think they were almost weekly, conversations with all of us as we tried to figure out what was the roadmap to keeping our institutions whole, relevant, useful, and productive in those early days. Those programs have, and those weekly sessions have sort of slowed down quite a bit. But that's the kind of education that CoSA is extremely good at doing. We learn from one another so that we can all move forward together. So CoSA came through this pandemic, and state archives in general came through this pandemic. It's not over yet, we know, but we've come this far in a very positive and productive way, largely because of the communication, the education, and the work and mutual support that we provided to one another. We also participated as an exhibitor at Roots Tech, thanks to the support of Family Search. This is an enormously huge conference. I think John DeJean will probably tell us it's something like 200,000 or 250,000, and I'm probably wrong on those numbers. I'm sure they're low. People participated in the online Roots Tech this year. CoSA was there. State archives were there, helping people understand what we did and what we were all about. And then advocacy. We continue to participate in the joint working group on issues and awareness with NAGARA, the SAA, and the regional archival associations. We are sending statements when they're needed and required to help decision makers understand the importance of archives, state archives in general, so that we can help those who don't know what we're about understand better the value that we provide. We are a member of the National Coalition for History Policy Board. That's the group, the smaller group of people who help guide the work of the National Coalition for History so that we can advocate for the role of archives in the history business and in the areas that we can have the most impact. We joined the National Humanities Alliance in 2021 and helped create advocacy materials for NARA and NHPRC, which were distributed by the National Humanities Alliance to help bolster those organizations. Thank you, Manny. Manny corrected my number. 1.5 million people participated in Roots Tech 2021. That's pretty amazing. Think about that. How many of us had the opportunity to expose our state archives or archives in general to 1.5 million people? I think cumulatively over the 50 years of the New York State Archives, we might be close to that number. We had the benefit and the opportunity to meet with the Biden transition team to help them chart their course and questions they were going to ask about the federal role and support for archives and records management. That's a rare opportunity and one that we really haven't had before, but it's a testament to the efforts and the impact of our advocacy to help make sure that people and organizations and big decision makers are aware of not just CoSA, not just SAA, not just archives, but everything that we do. And then we recently signed on as a champion of the Educating for American Democracy initiative. And then finally, our sustainability and excellence. It's an important dimension of what we do. CoSA as an organization is still relatively new. And we charted a course a few years ago to make the case for sustainability. How is CoSA going to continue to operate and flourish as an organization, as our organization? In Jamie's upcoming report, you're going to hear about how we have very good financial stability right now, thanks to her excellent stewardship of our financial resources, her wise investment choices, and a healthy dose of Bitcoin. I'm kidding, but the sustainability plan continues to guide the work that we do and will be an important part of our strategic planning for this year and in the future years. Again, CoSA is strong because we support our membership and our membership supports each other. That's an important dimension of what we do. We all know each other. We are a community of practice, a community of experience, and a community that cares about the business of archives and the business of government archives. We're going to say goodbye to some of our colleagues this year, some of the folks in our club. Some folks who have retired to move on to some new opportunities. Jody Foley retired this year. Tim Baker from Maryland retired this year. Matt Veach of Kansas retired this year. All of them are former members of the board and former presidents of CoSA, and we wish all of them well. And I think many of them, Jamie is here today. So hopefully we will continue to keep that connection with you and keep you in the orbit of all that we do. And some folks have departed for some other positions. Mike Strom moved from Virginia to Nevada. Gail Coatring moved to Nebraska. And then Becky Katz, or actually Gail Coatring from Nebraska, has moved on to a different position. And then Becky Katz from the District of Columbia Archives has moved on to another opportunity. We also have to remember some of the folks who we've lost this year. We note with great sadness the passing of David Gracie II, the former Texas State Archivist and one of the giants of the archival profession. But as people leave, we welcome new people and new folks here. Welcome to David Ware from Arkansas. We're glad that you're here. Welcome to Terry Manuel from Kentucky. Welcome to Elaine Backman from Maryland. Rich Arstad from Montana. Anna Holly in Nebraska. Shane Molander, North Dakota. Hilda Alaya from Puerto Rico. Smyrna Chinnery Wilkinson and Sarah Fleming from the U.S. Virgin Islands. Those are temporary appointments, but hopefully we'll see them soon. And Angela Fritz in Wisconsin. So welcome to all of you. The circle of archival life continues. So what is it? The COVIDal era? We'll come back to that in a minute. I'm going to try to wrap up because I think I am close to 90 minutes now. So I'll try to finish fast. I really, as the president of what's been a pretty interesting year, I'll say, I don't know that we've had a year like this in the past. I have to say how much I appreciate all of my colleagues, Jamie, Eric, Jody. We have had an interesting year. We've done, I think, a lot as we figured out how to build this organization and maintain this organization and help this organization flourish and help each other flourish. This past year has been, I don't want to necessarily say fun, but it wasn't terrible. And I think we can all look back on it and say, I'm glad it's in the rearview mirror, but it could have been a lot worse. We continue to build on our success. We look to the future and we'll look back on 2021 as a year of highs and lows. Think about where we were in April of 2021 or April of 2020. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't know what was happening, but we all together got through that. We've figured out how to deliver resources to researchers. We've figured out how to support our staff who are working from home. And in some cases, some of them are still working from home almost exclusively. It's been a good year for CoSA with so much support from our members, from our federal funders, our corporate sponsors, our colleagues in other professions. State archives are often leaders in continuous improvement, sometimes from necessity and other times from innovative ideas. I personally appreciate everyone's support through this unusual year, and I will continue to rely on the resiliency and innovation of all of you as we continue to face our challenges in the coming year. And I look forward to continue to working with all of you and supporting this great organization, but doing what I can to throw my shoulder to the wheels that you're trying to turn. So that's the state of the association. It's not too bad. So now with that, here's the really good news. I'm going to turn it over to Jamie Awalt, who's going to talk about the treasurer's report.
All right. Go on to show the numbers here. All right, thank you, Tom. As Tom said, despite the multitude of challenges presented this past year for everyone, I can say that CoSA remains in sound financial shape. I don't take much, if all, credit for that. So, but it is great news. So let's look at the balance sheet first here that's in front of you. And you can see year to date, we have $50,000 in grants receivables. That is the Mellon grant. Our total current assets were $180,686. Yes, Barbara said these documents in your meeting packet. Thanks, Barbara. Investments were up quite a bit. We're benefiting from the market here, and we're at $247,372. Current liabilities, $25,561, and then the total is $428,058. So if you go on to the next slide here, the statement of activities with the 2021 budget projection. Let me see if I can, there we go. Overall, CoSA ended the year with an accounting surplus and an operating deficit. So if you look at the 2020 revenue at $275,259 and the expenses totaling down here at $291,923, you see in bright red with an asterisk the deficit of a little over $16,664. So in February of 2021, we received the final reimbursement from NEH Cares in the amount of $15,000, $15,896. So this reimbursement covered funds that were expended in 2020. So the actual operating deficit is $768, which, as noted in the report, it's an encouraging amount for a year in which revenues were down. So looking forward to 2021, CoSA's 2021 projected revenue is $283,756. Much of this revenue is coming from dues, sponsorships, and grants. The donations to CoSA during our mid-year appeal, for instance, way surpassed projections. So we're seeing a lot of benefit coming from members who are donating, from member states paying their dues, and again, from the various grants, and of course, from our corporate sponsors. The 2021 budgeted expenses at $265,200 leaves a healthy anticipated surplus for us. So I want to end finally on a really positive note. The not included in this financial report, because the funding started on August 1st, is the National Leadership Grant awarded to CoSA from IMLS that Tom talked about in his remarks. And that amount is $475,000 over the next 3 years. So again, since we were just notified about that, it's not included in this projection, but that will be updated in the next financial report. So that's all I have.
Jamie, thank you. Excellent report. It's always nice to know that you have money in the bank.
Absolutely.
So again, thank you. Now I'd like to ask our Vice President, President-elect Eric Emerson of South Carolina to provide the Nominations Committee report.
Thank you, Tom. So this year we're saying goodbye, at least from the board, to 3 of the board members. That's Steve Excel from Washington, Sean Rounds from Minnesota, and Jody Foley from Montana. We want to thank them for all of their hard work over the years and all they contributed to the workings of the board and to the success of this organization. This year's nominating committee was comprised of myself, as serving as chair, Dave Jones from Illinois, representing the board of directors, John Dugan of Missouri, representing the membership at large, and Barbara Teague, who served in an ex officio capacity. The nominating committee met on February 3rd, and we're pleased to submit in the form of a motion the following slate of candidates to serve 3-year terms beginning at this meeting and ending at the business meeting in 2024. Those candidates are Cynthia Laframboise, the Nevada State Archivist and State Records Manager, Alan Ramsey, Connecticut Deputy State Archivist, and Ken Williams, the Utah State Archivist. And since this is a motion of the nominating committee, it does not require a second from the floor.
Thank you, Eric. I'll accept that nominating committee report. Before we move to a vote, are there any nominations from the floor? I'm just waiting for a minute in case people are not fast on the mute button. So with that, I will call for a vote on this, and I think the easiest way to do this is I'll do the negative first. Are there any objections to the slate as presented by the nominating committee? Very good. In that case, I think I'm going to look at our parliamentarian here. If I can simply say, since there have been no dissensions, should we just simply all unmute and say aye, or can I simply just say no one objected, so we'll consider the motion carried?
I would have everybody unmute and call the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay.
Very good.
Everybody unmute at this time.
So unmute, and all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. With that, the motion is carried. Congratulations, Cynthia, Alan, and Ken. We are glad that in Ken's case, you're continuing with us, and Cynthia and Alan, welcome. Wonderful. And thank you, Parliamentarian Jones. So I think the next item on our agenda is the recognition of service to CoSA. And so with that, I am going to say this is the beginning of really our annual awards ceremony. It's part of the annual business meeting. Our awards program is sponsored by Family Search and represented by John DeJong. And so I'm going to turn the microphone over to John. And if you want to say a couple of words, John.
Just trying to get this unmuted. So we really appreciate our partnership and working together with CoSA. As you know, we've been involved for a number of years. We appreciate the leadership guidance is provided within the organization, and everybody that we work with. It's just a tremendous experience that we have. We appreciate all of the work that you do as you work to help to preserve records electronically and make them available to people. And we stand ready to assist. As Tom mentioned earlier, the Roots Tech event this year had over 1.5 million interested family history people that were involved, and I think about 80% of those were in North America. The rest of them were in about over 200 countries throughout the world. And so there's just a tremendous amount of continuing interest in learning about people's roots and their families. And we are just excited to help to be part of that process to help to preserve these records and make them available electronically, and assist you in the work that you're doing to do the same thing in your areas and your regions. So thank you so much for your leadership and the individuals that are being recognized for their leadership contributions in making this happen.
John, thank you very much for the support of Family Search, again, in helping us recognize our colleagues for the work that they do and how they contribute to the bigger picture that we all see. So thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to Ancestry for its support of the CoSA Ancestry Leadership Award. I'd like to introduce Elaine Bachman of the Maryland State Archives, who is going to present the CoSA Ancestry Leadership Award.
Thank you, Tom. It's really a pleasure that in my first meeting here as State Archivist since succeeding Tim Baker to be able to honor such a valued member of our staff here at the State Archives. Catherine Berenger is being awarded with the CoSA Ancestry Leadership Award for her service to the State Electronic Records Initiative. She serves as the co-chair, and it was a few years ago when Tim cast about to all of our employees here at the archives and asked that they become more involved in CoSA's committees. And Catherine enthusiastically stepped forward and has been co-chairing that initiative to great success, which does not surprise me because she is the head of our appraisal and description department here at the archives, which is a very, it's a job right at the core of our mission. And in just working more closely with her over the past few months, I realize how critical her work is. And she really leads an important team here, and she does so with a lot of intelligence and compassion. And it's really been an honor to work with her. And so I'm delighted to present her today with the CoSA Ancestry Leadership Award, very appropriately sponsored by Family Search, because Catherine also manages a very significant Family Search volunteer program here at the Archive. So Catherine, it is my pleasure to present you with the CoSA Ancestry Leadership Award.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, everyone. It's very nice.
Congratulations, Catherine. Well, I think the next great innovation in virtual meetings is virtual clapping. And so
I think it's snapping.
yeah, yes.
Thank you.
So again, congratulations and thank you, Elaine. Our next award is the CoSA Rising Star Award. I'd like to ask Dave Jones to step up to the podium and make the presentation of the CoSA Rising Star Award.
Thanks, Tom. And thank you, Family Search, for the sponsorship. The Rising Star Award is designed to acknowledge outstanding contributions by individual staff members or teams to their state archives or constituencies. The Rising Star Award is a good way for us old timers to know that the future of the profession is in good hands. This year's award winner, I'm proud to say, is Kathy Popovich of the Illinois State Archives. Kathy joined the Illinois State Archives as an intern in 2014, or as we like to say in Illinois, 0 score and 7 years ago. The internship program she participated in is a year-long program that we're very proud of, because the intern learns every aspect of what we do at the Illinois State Archives, and then it leads to a full-time position usually. But when Kathy was a part of the program, there was a hiring freeze coming on. We were so worried that we were going to lose Kathy on our staff that we hired her on after only 6 months, not after a full year, utilizing what is now known as the Kathy Popovich Clause. At the Archives, Kathy is in charge of our reference room, meaning she is responsible for more than 75,000 cubic feet of archival material, including one of the largest collections of Lincoln documents in the world. Kathy serves as deputy coordinator for our SHRAB, and she runs the award-winning regrant program that we operate. Her efforts with the SHRAB have made her a visible presence in the Illinois workforce community. Her work with Illinois institutions and Illinois archivists has had an immeasurable and lasting impact on preservation and access in Illinois. But Kathy is about more than just Illinois. She serves as our liaison to the NHBRC and is a grant reader for the NHBRC. She has also assisted in lobbying the Illinois Congressional Delegation to support increased funding for the NHBRC. She's been active in CoSA, serving as co-chair of its Education Committee and as a member of the Steering Committee. And she was one of our representatives on the Program Committee for the 2019.
Excuse me for a minute, Dave. Excuse me. John Dugan, we're getting some sound noise from you. Will you mind muting? Thank you. Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No problem. It just means I have to start all over again. John, you gonna mute?
Michelle, I think you can mute John. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. Now you can go, Dave. Sorry, everybody.
Not a problem. There's a lot more to Kathy's resume than what I've said here, but I'll end with one of my favorite Kathy Popovich stories because it came out of the Austin meeting, the 2019 CoSA annual meeting. So it had been a long day of sessions, and we were at a downtown Austin barbecue place about 10 o'clock at night. And as I know everybody knows, next to Chicago, Texas is some of the best barbecue in the world. I think second best after Chicago. But anyway, at the table was myself, John Dugan, Tom Roller, Eric Emerson, and Kathy. So in other words, at the table were Kathy's boss and the past, present, and future presidents of CoSA. Kathy, we talked about archives, even though we were tired of archives after all day. We talked about archives, and Kathy more than held her own. Truly a rising star at that point. At one point, Eric turned to her, fueled no doubt by that barbecue that he was eating, and he asked her opinion based on her being the voice of her generation of archivists. I don't know if Kathy is the voice of her generation or even if there is such a thing, but I do know that Kathy is truly a rising star. It is thanks to young archivists like Kathy Popovich that the future of the profession is truly in good hands. So her staff asked if they could give this. So Eowyn, we're not quite high tech here in Illinois. This is Eowyn Montgomery. She's going to run it. Go. She's going to run it. She's going to run it downstairs. Okay, this is as high tech as we get in Illinois. And it gives myself and our staff, on behalf of CoSA, great pleasure to award the 2021 CoSA Rising Star Award to Kathy Popovich. Kathy, is she there yet?
She is. I hope I cleared off the staircase.
All right, give me, hey! Congratulations, Kathy.
Thank you so much. That's great.
Congratulations, Kathy. And I do remember that night. And one of the areas that Dave left off in terms of quality of barbecue is, of course, South Carolina barbecue. And I do recall that Kathy handled Eric's question with tremendous tact. But anyway, we'll talk about smoked meat at another meeting. So why don't we move on to the CoSA NHPRC Shrab Award. Kathy Crawwell-Varda from the Connecticut State Library is going to present the CoSA NHPRC Shrab Award to this year's winner.
Thank you, Tom. The Connecticut State Historical Records Advisory Board has a long history of being responsive to the needs of the institutions with archival collections in Connecticut. And through a recent NHPRC grant, the CT Shrab partnered with Conservation Connection to offer 2 programs that have transformed how archival collections and staff are supported, as well as helping increase access to their archives. The Traveling Archivist Implementation Grant and the Online Digitization Workshop series were designed before COVID-19 and were quickly adapted to meet the new world created by the pandemic. The Traveling Archivist Implementation Award was a pilot re-grant program designed to support institutions who lack the financial means and professional staff to implement archival recommendations. This re-grant program was a first in Connecticut. It provided direct support to institutions with archives, and we were able to award 18 grants that demonstrate that Connecticut's cultural heritage organizations are really capable of determining and managing archival projects and selecting archival professionals to help them with the work. In addition to the re-grant, CT Shrab also offered a new learning experience for staff responsible for archives.
Yeah, so weird. By the way,
A 5-part.
Didn't they have records up there that they wanted me to
Hey,
get?
Andrea,
Sorry,
Andrea,
Andrea.
you need to mute yourself, please.
Sorry.
That's okay, thanks. Sorry,
Thank you. So the CT Shrab offered a 5-part digitization workshop series last year that was produced via Zoom due to COVID-19, of course. And a Google Classroom was created for instructors and students to upload materials, share resources, interact with one another outside of the webinars, post the recorded classes, share evaluations and thoughts. While they required participants to use Zoom, which everyone was getting familiar with, they also had to learn Google Classroom as well as learn the associated tools of Google Drive. And the CT Shrab did an excellent job providing instruction and technical support to participants. The shared learning experience that was created using Google Classroom mimicked a live workshop, as did the real-time, hands-on remote learning of all stages of digitization. Participants were able to scan along with instructors using materials in their collections and work together live in a Google Sheet to edit the metadata they had created. So it is my honor today to present the CoSA NHPRC Award to Connecticut State Archivist and Chair of CT Shrab, Lizette Pelletier.
Thank you very much. I am honored to accept this on behalf of the Connecticut State Historical Records Advisory Board.
Congratulations, Lizette, and thank you very much, Kathy.
Thank you.
We are very grateful for your support of Lizette and for all of the hard work that Lizette and the CT Shrab do. So thank you. It's my opportunity to present an award, the CoSA Advocacy Award. This year's winner, I think, doesn't really need an introduction. We know her reputation. We know what she has done. For nearly 2 decades, probably one of the most important, balanced, and informed, and most importantly, effective voices for archives and government archives in our country has been Nancy Beaumont. It has been a great pleasure for me these past couple of years to get to know Nancy a little bit better through a couple of different intersections. All of us have had the opportunity to benefit from Nancy's work as an advocate for archives, as an advocate for the government archives, and a recognition that archives come in lots of different shapes and forms, including government archives. Nancy Beaumont is now, I think, officially retired as the executive director of the Society of American Archivists. And we will benefit for many years to come for the foundations that she's laid, for the hard work that she has done in helping advance not just CoSA, not just government archives, but archives in general. And for that, I think it is a great pleasure for me to have the opportunity to present the CoSA Advocacy Award to our friend, and I would say our colleague, Nancy Beaumont. I can't reach through the screen and present it to her, but just use your mind. So,
Tom, may I say a few words?
I would be grateful if you did.
Well, thank you so very much. I might start sobbing at any moment, but please bear with me. I'm really, really grateful for this honor, Tom. As many of you know, CoSA has a very special place in my heart. Many of my archival heroes are or have been CoSA members and leaders. Kathleen Rowe, David Carmichael, Vicki Walsh, Barbara Teague, Tom Ruller, Sarah Kuntz and Jim Corridon too have been important role models for advocacy within the profession. While others have debated the process for determining how to count the number of angels on the head of a pin, or have tweeted incessantly about why no one understands what I do, CoSA has written the grant proposals, administered the grants, and done the surveys that have spoken to the value and importance of archives. You've provided the statistics, the benchmarks, the best practices that have helped your members and others do their jobs better. You've demonstrated and explained the power of archives, and you've remained passionate about advocacy. And you have a place in my heart because you have done the work. I hope that you'll keep doing the work. I hope that you'll find partners within SAA to work with you. I've pointed out a few of them to Barbara. I hope that you'll remain a member of the National Coalition for History Policy Board so that CoSA and SAA can work together in that group. I hope to see PAR in some iteration become law. And I hope that you'll call on me if I ever may be of assistance to you. I will always be an archives advocate. It's been my great pleasure to know you and to work with you. And thank you so much for this honor.
It is our pleasure, Nancy, and thank you. And we will call on you. And I think this is not goodbye. This is so long. Hopefully it won't be too long before we talk to you again. So thank you very much. CoSA's highest honor is the Victoria Irons Walsh Leadership Award. And this year we had the great pleasure to present this award to former CoSA President Matt Veach, who has retired from the Kansas State Archives. So Matt, I think, is traveling in the Grand Tetons or swimming near the Outer Banks or doing something that people who no longer have to come in and work every day do. So we, few weeks ago, had the opportunity to present the award to Matt and make a little bit of a recording. And so I'm going to turn it over to Becky, who is going to play a recording of that ceremony. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Tom Ruller. I'm the current president of the Council of State Archivists, and I want to welcome you all to this opportunity to honor our colleague, Matt Veach. I want to start by saying thank you very much to John DeJong and Family Search for their sponsorship of the Council of State Archivist Awards program, including our highest honor, the Victoria Irons Walsh Leadership Award. We're going to talk a little bit about Matt, but before we do, I'm going to turn it over to John for a couple of words.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. And I'm just delighted to represent Family Search and to be a part of this presentation. This leadership award is amazing because it speaks really to the creativity, the collaboration, the service, and exceeding expectations and working with others. And I just think it's amazing the organization that CoSA has and how they're instilling these kinds of qualities in the people that are within the organization and that they're recognizing those qualities. So again, as Family Search, we're just delighted to participate with this award presentation and with this award itself. We're delighted with all of the great work that CoSA does as it works to help to increase the availability of records, access and preservation throughout the United States. And that's just an amazing example for the rest of the world. So thank you very much for letting us participate.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you, Family Search. I want to talk a little bit about our colleague, Matt Veach, and this award. This award is about leadership, and leadership has a broad spectrum, and it starts with leadership within your work unit. It moves to leadership of your organization or your institution. And then ultimately it's leadership in the profession. And Matt Veach, who has been with the Kansas State Historical Society since 1992, has gone down that progression. He's served with distinction as the state archivist for the Kansas Historical Society since 2012. So he's done the leadership at his program office. He's done the leadership at his institution. And Matt's involvement with the Council of State Archivists and the profession in general shows him as a leader of our profession. He's widely respected by colleagues within government institutions, academia, and the archival profession. His knowledge and experience with the management of electronic records is well and widely known. Matt played an important role in Kansas in a number of their critical initiatives, including the Kansas Memory Project and the Territorial Kansas Online, and the digital archives for Kansas government records. That kind of experience, that kind of knowledge, and that kind of leadership brought Matt to the role of serving as the chair of the State Electronic Records Initiative with CoSA in 2012 and 2013, where he led the development and implementation of several SERI state electronic records initiatives, coordinating a major successful grant application to the to IMLS for SERI education and training, and leading and moderating a week-long SERI Electronic Records Institute, actually a couple of times. Matt was elected to the board of directors of the Council of State Archivists in 2012, served as CoSA vice president 2012 and 2013, and then as president from 2013 to 2014. He's innovative, he's intelligent, he's a steady leader, and he has brought his institution, his work unit, and our profession to a whole new level. We are very grateful and honored to have the opportunity to recognize our colleague, Matt Veach. So I'm going to turn this over to Michael Church and Megan Burton from the Kansas Historical Society to present the award to Matt.
I brought it with me.
Wow.
There you go.
That's great.
There we go.
There you go. I'm Michael Church, the Senior Archivist for Collections at the Kansas Historical Society. I've had the opportunity to work closely with Matt on a daily basis since 2005. Moving forward without Matt's leadership at work has been challenging already so far, but we are very grateful that we've had the opportunity to work closely with Matt for years and learn from his leadership on a daily basis. Working with him on many different projects, including some of the ones you've mentioned, has given us the opportunity to see how Matt translates the principles of access, preservation, and transparency into practice on a daily basis. And you know, that's not experience you get from school or from anything else. It's a amazing opportunity that we've had to work with Matt for such a kind of a long period of time and so closely. The hardest part is trying to achieve those principles that he set for us now that he's gone. So that's a challenge that we're trying to achieve on a daily basis. And living in Matt's shadow gives us an opportunity to try to rise to those expectations and fulfill the goals that he set for us over those many years. So congratulations, Matt.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You want to say a couple words?
I'll say a couple words. As I told Barbara earlier today, I almost never pass up an opportunity for public speaking. So I want to thank CoSA, CoSA leaders. I want to thank Family Search. John, thank you for your support of CoSA, the CoSA Awards program. But I want to thank everyone for this most unexpected and humbling award. CoSA is a small but mighty organization. It's made up of committed people who do things to move our profession forward, and CoSA does things. It is truly an honor to be recognized by such a distinguished group of peers. I would not be receiving the Victoria Irons Walsh Leadership Award, however, without the help and support of so many talented colleagues throughout my career. I'll name just a few. I could go on for a very long time, but just a few names stand out. Patricia Michaelis, Pat Michaelis, who all of you know, was my boss. She was my mentor. She was and remains my friend. And we worked together to experiment with new, sometimes very risky ideas. We didn't always succeed, but we really had a great time trying. Ann Ackerson and Barbara Teague were two terrific CoSA leaders who built upon the solid foundation that Vicki Walsh put into place to transform CoSA into a forward-thinking, first-class professional organization. And I'm also honored to include both Barbara and Ann in my long list of good friends. And during my travels that I intend to take in retirement, I hope to see both of you. To Jim Corridon, my sometimes nemesis, but terrific colleague, amazingly smart guy, Sarah Kuntz and Beth Shields. This trio provided the energy, vision, expertise, and dogged determination to turn the State Electronic Records Initiative into a successful and enduring program. And I'm really proud to have had the chance to serve with them. And finally, I just added this paragraph 10 minutes ago, a shout out to four of my former Kansas Historical Society colleagues who surprised me by showing up at my door just a few minutes ago to celebrate this occasion. So thanks to Megan Burton. Megan will see that I wrote Megan Roletter, but it is not Megan Roletter, it is Megan Burton, Michael Church, Lauren Gray, and Ben Epps. I really am one of the easiest persons on the planet to surprise. So if you ever want to do a surprise party and have it succeed, throw it for Matt V. Thanks again for this tremendous honor. I really appreciate this.
Big round of applause. And Matt, thank you for all that you have given to us, given to this profession, given to this organization. Michael and Megan, thank you so much for helping out today. John and Family Search, thank you for your ongoing support of CoSA and all that you do for us, for the profession, for state
Thank you.
archives in general. Matt, we wish you the best of times in your retirement, and we will hold you to making sure you stop and visit our colleagues across the country. We're sad to see you leave, but we are very fortunate to have your legacy to build on. Again, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you all.
Am I being here?
Very good, Barbara, and thank you all. That wound up going very well. So, and again, congratulations to Matt. And Matt, I'm sure you're not watching, and we kind of hope you're not. That means you're having fun. But should you watch this recording, hopefully you'll see the comments from your colleagues, which really underscore your tremendous impact on the work that we do. So thank you very much. CoSA is a community. We all work together. And one of the great benefits that I have as the president is the opportunity to recognize a few people who have been particularly outstanding in their work for the Council of State Archivists and government archives in general. So I've got a few people I just want to call out to and recognize for all that they have done. The first is Lori Ashley, who has contributed a huge amount to us for our, pardon me, for research and the projects that we've done through the State Electronic Records Initiative. Lori has been an ally, a supporter, and a hard worker with us. She helps us get things done. And Lori, for that, thank you very much. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to present a President's Award to you. Another person I want to call out is Veronica Martzel. You all know this year we took a different approach, maybe not so different, but technologically different approach to the biennial State Archives and Records Management Survey. And because of the hard work of Veronica in designing the survey instrument, working with us for over a year to get the right questions, to put those questions together in that online platform, and then take all that data and make it useful, understandable, and broadly applicable. We have a wonderful report, and I think a great platform for us to be able to replicate that survey much more easily in the years going forward. So Veronica, for that, it's my great pleasure to present a President's Award to you for this year. And we look forward to, and I know a lot of people are laughing at me saying we look forward to doing the survey again next year because of the hard work that you put in. So thank you, Veronica. And then I want to recognize our colleague, Meg Phillips from the National Archives. Meg has been a critical connection between us and the National Archives. And within the past year, she's been a critical connection between us and our colleagues and other organizations. Meg put together a quarterly meeting of the folks who from the SAA, CoSA, Regional Archival Associations, and Nagara, where we have a very, I think, frank, a very educational, and a very rich conversation around a particular topic. That kind of initiative, that kind of leadership is really important and really valuable. Meg, thank you very much for all you've given to us, for all you will continue to give to us, and for serving as that catalyst to bring us together, to talk, to work together, to learn from each other, and to grow. So for that, Meg Phillips, I'm very happy to have the opportunity to give you a CoSA President's Award for this year. I mentioned a few of our retirees, but I do want to call out a couple of past presidents who retired just this year. First is Tim Baker of the Delaware State Archives. Tim is probably with Matt swimming in the Outer Banks for all we know. But Tim, every year you have been a great advocate for this organization, a great knowledge base for all of us, and and someone who is very willing to share what you know, what you think, and how we get things done. So Tim Baker, a President's Award comes your way. Did I not say Maryland State Archives? Did I say another state? Maybe Delaware. I could have said Delaware, right? Well, it's near Maryland. It's part of the Delmarva Peninsula. You know, I'm from New York. Okay, what do you want? Tim Baker from the Maryland State Archives, which is not part of New York. But in any event, Tim Baker, thank you very much, Barbara, and thank you very much, Tim. And then finally, my colleague, Jody Foley. Jody, thank you for your leadership of CoSA. Thank you for the calming nature that you bring to any conversation that we have that might need someone to calm things down. Thank you for the hard work that you've put in over these years. And thank you for reminding us that the weather can change in an instant, as it does in Montana, as you pointed out when this meeting started today. But Jody, I've learned a lot from you, and I know my colleagues have. And so we want to say thank you, goodbye, good luck, and I think goodbye, good luck, and keep in touch. So for this, again, a President's Award to outgoing Montana State Archivist, Jody Foley. A couple other folks I think we need to make sure we recognize. The BPE, the Best Practices Exchange Host Committee and Program Committee representatives. You can see their names there, and I am so grateful to the Utah State Archives. We're all grateful for hosting the Best Practices Exchange. We're really lucky to have these kinds of people who do good things for all of us. So thank you, Jim, Heidi, Lauren, Molly, Lisa, for putting in the volunteer time to make these things happen. That's the kind of commitment that people show that are part of this organization. And then finally, I want to recognize our outgoing board members for their devotion, their hard work, and their service to CoSA. Steve Excel, I can't say how great it is to see you at this meeting. We've missed you, and we're really glad to see you today. And Sean Rounds, who's leaving the board, who's had a challenging year up in Minnesota, and we're there with you, Sean, and you've done so much for the Education Committee. We're very lucky to have your leadership in all that we've done. So 3 years of service on the board, that's it goes by in an instant, and it goes by in about 10 years. So thank you for what you have done for CoSA. And so with that, I get to do was probably the most important function of the President of the Council of State Archivists. And that is to turn over the leopard cape of presidential power. So as soon as this comes off, I have to stop talking to my friend, my colleague, and someone who has been a very wise counselor to all of us, Eric Emerson, who we anticipate will be, well, he is the Vice President, President-elect for the Council of State Archivists. So with that, Eric, it's all yours.
Thanks, Tom. I would have had a leopard cape to put on to make it look like you had given me one, but I'm sure I can't find one of those anywhere in South Carolina. So, but I look forward to the forthcoming year, and thank you so much for all you've done for CoSA. At this time last year, many of us were hopeful that things would look a lot more like 2018 in certain ways than 2020. We couldn't anticipate that this would continue on. And we haven't reached the end of our journey on the COVID Express. But I think we have a lot to be grateful for. Tom, you have done so much for the organization, and you've set a very high bar for me, whether it's your quotes in Latin, your Robert Frost poems at the end of meetings, showing the superiority of the New York public school system. I don't know how to match that. And but you've been a wonderful, wonderful president during this very challenging time. And I also want to recognize Jody, and Tom talked about Jody's very calm demeanor and her wonderful leadership. I mean, you know, this was right at the end of Jody's term when COVID hit, and she did a magnificent job guiding the organization through one of the most challenging times in our existence and the most challenging times in the existence of many of our institutions. So I'm grateful for your combined leadership and the hard work and the diligence as well of all the CoSA board members and the CoSA staff. Most of all, I'm extremely impressed with the collective adaptability and resilience of all of our states and our territories and the District of Columbia for all that we've shown through the pandemic. During the most recent call to the states, 100% of respondents commented that their agencies managed pandemic restricted operations, quote, fairly well or quite well. So we're all confident in our capabilities, and that's amazing. I mean, it's a testament to your leadership and the professionalism and dedication of all of our staffs. Regardless of what the forthcoming year holds, I'm confident that CoSA and all of our archives will not only survive, but will flourish. For those of you who don't know me, I'm much newer to this profession than many of you and some of the awards recipients that you've seen here today. I'm a historian and an editor by training, and a historical administrator, a historic preservationist, and most recently an archivist by vocation. My first experience with archives was as a researcher, like a number of you. And only after dramatic cuts in 2010 to the state budget did I find myself assuming the title of South Carolina State Archivist after the retirement of Roy Tryon, who many of you remember, who was a president to the forerunner of CoSA and also President Nagar at one time. I have very fond memories of the gracious welcome and the sage advice that I was offered at my first CoSA meeting in New Orleans in 2013. I can remember Dave Jones pulling me aside. He saw me before I caught my flight and my head was in my hands, and he said, "What's going on?" And I was like, "We're never getting caught up on digital records. I don't know what I'm going to do." And Dave said, "Come on, I'll buy you a beer." And so that was the kind of welcome I got. And it was at that meeting that I realized just how special CoSA is. And people like us who work to preserve the public record, ensure government transparency, identify and safeguard for future generations documents that'll tell the history of the nation, that's a noble profession. And CoSA is the nexus for all of our collective efforts as states, territories, and the District of Columbia. And therefore, we have to be a leader in those categories that comprise our strategic plan: research, education, advocacy, and sustainability for government archives nationwide. As Tom said, Ann Ackerson's leading the agency in a revision, of our strategic plan, and that should be completed this fall. If you haven't commented yet, or if you haven't been asked to comment, I'm sure Ann would appreciate any comments you have as we revise that strategic plan. Ann's doing a wonderful job, and it couldn't be in better hands than it is. For the forthcoming year, we have a number of research and education goals. Tom's touched upon these kind of continuing grants. We're excited about 2 grants that are still in the pipeline. We're currently in the second year of a $100,000 Prepare grant that Tom mentioned. Focuses on email preservation. That's $50,000 last year, $50,000 this year. I want to thank those of you who assisted CoSA by participating in our survey for that grant. We're also really excited that CoSA has received a national leadership grant from IMLS for $475,000 for a 3-year project focusing on developing, delivering new and expanded technical assistance, educational programming, training to strengthen our members' digital records preservation and accessibility capacities. That's a really big deal for us. And I want to give due credit to Barbara and the staff, everybody who made that application so successful. That took a lot of resilience on their part. We'd applied for other grants that had fallen through, but they just kept at it until we got that one. So kudos to them. In the forthcoming year, CoSA is also going to continue to do with our regular webinars. These have been really helpful for both general and specific topics. Siri will continue to play a major role in these webinars. CoSA has to continue to pursue its valuable work concerning electronic records. Our conversion to higher logic has given us the capacity to create a series of discussion platforms or specialized listservs, which we plan to use in the forthcoming year. And we hope they'll be of significant benefit to you, our members, In the forthcoming year, we also will restart CoSA's monthly meetings for state archivists. I think Tom alluded to this, and these have proven to be really valuable in the past. We hope that you participate because these are an excellent opportunity for you to consult with colleagues about challenges that you face or simply to commiserate with each other regarding the various aspects of our job. We'll also continue to serve as a leader in archival advocacy through our work with the Joint Working Committee, which is comprised of CoSA, NAGARA, SAA, and RAC. And this has been chaired by North Carolina State Archivist Sarah Kuntz and Jim Cord in the past. We're very grateful for all of their work in advocacy on behalf of CoSA. Much of our advocacy will continue to focus on NARA and NHPRC's budgets in the forthcoming year. We'll also be searching for ways to increase funding specifically for archives in the federal budget, much like IMLS does for libraries. That's a long-term goal for us. And finally, we will continue to secure organizational sustainability and work to create a more equitable and diverse field. As you've already heard, CoSA's finances are in excellent condition. Jamie has done a great job with those. We should be able to sustain as an organization all but the most catastrophic of circumstances, knock on wood, but we're not content to rest on our laurels, and we know that we need to continue to assess and revise our sustainability plan as needed. And then finally, we're all aware of how the events of summer of 2020 have transformed the way that we view ourselves, our profession, and really the way we view the world. If you look at the kind of classical Athenian form of government, it bears that the most effective government is one in which everyone shares both the blessings and the burdens of ensuring the government's proper function. So our task of identifying, accessioning, preserving, and making available to the public the nation's most important records must be shared amongst all of the people of this nation. Many of our organizations, including CoSA, have issued statements committing ourselves to increasing organizational diversity and equity towards that goal. And we're excited that part of the IMLS grant that we've received will focus on cultural competency planning and will provide for more information as these efforts go forward. But before this meeting, I thought about where we stood in regards to that anniversary in June of 2020. So 1 year after we collectively issued statements regarding diversity and equity, not just my organization, not just CoSA, but a number of organizations issued those statements, I find myself kind of reminded of our annual New Year's resolutions. You know, when you say that I'm going to start exercising, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, or I'm finally going to train to run a marathon. You know, and then 1 month into your membership at the Y, you grow tired of getting up at 5 a.m. and you sleep in late and you decide to that your goals were too ambitious and you'll try again next year. And you put it on the back burner. So I believe achieving diversity and equity are more akin to a marathon than a sprint. So like a marathon runner, I'd urge you to make a plan, set a timeline with attainable goals, and let your successes compound on the way to reaching the end course. Our organization started with immediate tasks, small tasks that we could pursue on this path. So we held listening sessions with underserved and underrepresented stakeholders. And our experience was that we learned that those meetings provided us with extremely valuable insight into how we could better serve all of our customers. We asked staff members to undertake conscious editing projects for part of their day, or if they were working remotely. And some of your staff still are working remotely, hopefully not due to COVID. And we participate in job fairs at majority BIPOC school districts, elementary, middle school, high school job fairs, and we participate in job fairs at historically Black colleges and universities. We work really hard to develop relationships with administrators that result in their students participate in internships or work study programs at our institution. We found that it's really important to remember that we're competing with college and university archives, which can pay far more money than we can. And we're competing for a limited pool of applicants that can serve the purposes we need. And that's why it's important to recruit promising young people and get them into our workplaces early and introduce them to what we know is an immensely rewarding and extremely important field. I mean, this is an immense task that we're undertaking, but we have to make people reconsider their career plans. And perhaps more importantly, we have to make their parents reconsider their plans for them to be doctors, lawyers, business people, or scientists. But we've come to the realization that anything this important is difficult, but it's an imperative for all of our organizations, all of our states, all of our territories, and the District of Columbia. So if you've not started yet, we urge you to start today. To close, I look forward to working with all of you in the forthcoming year. For all of our newest state archivists, welcome aboard. It's our hope that you experience the collegiality and support that makes CoSA so special. Please don't hesitate to contact me or other board members or Barbara. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you if there's anything we can do for you. Remember, we represent you and your archives, and we want your feedback about how we're doing. Thank you.
Eric, that was fantastic. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for all that you have done for CoSA, but thank you for what your words, and thank you for the suggestions about taking words and making them actions. That's really, really important. So with that, we're going to conclude this business meeting of the Council of State Archivists. You'll see up on your screen, Nashville 2022, September 26th to 28th next year. And we will hopefully all see each other in person. For those of you who are on the board or newly elected to the board, please don't forget, we have a board meeting immediately following this business meeting. So please make sure you shut off this Zoom meeting and join in another one. Family Search, thank you again for your sponsorship of our awards program. Mike, thank you to Preservica for your presentation early on. Thank you to all of our board members, all of our officers, all of the folks that work in CoSA. Congratulations to all of our award recipients. And thank you to all of you, and best wishes for a wonderful year. And I think with Eric Emerson at the helm, it's going to be anything, but it's going to be everything and wonderful. It'd be nothing but good. So take care. We'll see you in a year. Bye.